Hi Cancer, welcome to your September 2016 love reading. And I was just thinking that your third house is Virgo, and that's for that eclipse. The solar eclipse is happening on the first of the month. And so that's new beginnings in communications. And that might relate to a love partner because right before that, there's going to be a Mercury retrograde in the same house. So you might hear from somebody from the past, maybe online or with snail mail, whatever, a phone call. Put this closer. Okay. The overall message or energy is the Four of Swords. This is about you taking some time to, recuperate from something. So maybe you were going through a stressful relationship, and so you needed that downtime. Maybe you have broken up with the person, and you needed that time to just rest and also go within and see what happened, see what went wrong. Maybe you're going to do that now, because this is the current energy for September. So maybe that's something you're going to do during September at some point. Let me look at the past. We have the Seven of Cups and the Hangman. So there's some kind of there can be some kind of a confusion, but there's a tentative quality that was, maybe you had this, maybe you were waiting for somebody to make up their mind about commitment, and they just kept stringing you along. That could certainly have happened, but you may have also felt that you were just another, in the cast of thousands. The Seven of Cups indicates somebody who has a lot of options. But in this context, it could have been that you were waiting for somebody who was deciding whether or not, you were good enough to commit to. And I'm saying that sarcastically, obviously. And maybe that person really didn't want to choose. And maybe you were kind of deluded a little bit into thinking that it was ever a choice, that there was ever the possibility of this happening. Maybe you were strung along, in other words, because when I see the Seven of Cups, I sometimes see deception, okay? And so it's kind of like the Moon card in a lot of ways to me, where I see that things aren't necessarily as they seem. Now, for the time in September, or maybe shortly thereafter, we have the Three of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. Now, both of these cards can indicate that there's a third party, actually. The Three of Swords is a card that deals with getting the heart broken. Now, sometimes this may be the person who is suffering emotionally that has to do the cutting. Because if somebody is keeping you hanging, you may be suffering too much, and you may say, that's it, I have to, something's got to give. And then you might be the one to just abruptly cut all ties to that person. They may want to keep seeing you, but they may be seeing somebody else at the same time, and you know it. And that's what I'm saying about the Seven of Cups. This person might feel like that the world is their oyster, and they're treating you like you're just one of the oysters. You're not the main person in their life, and they may be stringing you along with promises, but it ain't, materializing. And so you've had enough, and you might just have to the Three of Swords can be like a very abrupt kind of a situation where you cut off ties. But it can just indicate that you're, actually suffering from this love relationship that is not working out too well. It can indicate that there are three people involved in this very upsetting situation. And likewise, the two, whenever you see a two, there could be a choice that has to be made. And it could be involving an earth sign. So, like a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn that is making the choice, or is the other party. The air sign could be the one that you feel rejected by. So that is a Gemini, a Libra, Aquarius. But let's put it this way. I feel like, because the overall energy is the Four of Swords, I feel like you're trying to handle it in a constructive way. Whatever it is, you're trying to heal, you're trying to handle it, and you're trying to be spiritual about it. You're not just going off the rails. The higher perspective is the Tower card. In general, I would say that this could either be that you had a sudden revelation that, I call it the moment of clarity, where you saw that person as they really are, and maybe you were kind of swirling around with that wishful thinking and delusions, about what was going on. Remember, the Seven of Cups involves the cup, so there's emotions involved. And so maybe you were a little bit deceived in that department, and you were in love with somebody that was misrepresenting themselves. And so the Tower can indicate a moment of clarity. It can indicate that there was a shocking event, a sudden event, that made it all clear to you about what had transpired. And so that, might have been quite startling or devastating. But as I say, it doesn't mean that something bad and traumatic is going to happen. It could just be an aha moment where you really intuit something that is helpful in making that break. Or if the other person has, technically been the one to break up with you, you accept it and say, good riddance, that kind of a thing. What crosses you is the Four of Cups. So this, what we call ennui, or this feeling of blandness, dissatisfaction with your life, is something that you have to watch out for, that you're not overly concerned with it, I would actually say. I was thinking to what the Buddha says, which talks about, they call this emotion dukkha. It means unsatisfactoriness. And, in Buddhism, they have the four causes of suffering. And one of them is not getting what you want. And one of them is getting what you want, interestingly enough. And sometimes it's getting what you don't want. That's another possibility. I can't think. I only said three of them. Getting what you want, not getting what you want, getting what you don't want. I don't know. I can't think, because I think I said getting what you don't want. But, even if you were to remain in this relationship, if you're philosophical about it, you realize that this person probably was causing a lot of strife. You know, I'm getting, you know, some of these, how many of these swords cards am I getting in this reading? 1, 2, 3. So that can indicate a lot of drama or worry that is being triggered by this particular person. And so it's not a peaceful feeling. And when you have a sense of not feeling satisfaction in your life, it could also mean that you're not honoring other things. Maybe you're not doing what you want to do, and you're just kind of trying to make your relationship be the center of your existence because you're unhappy with other aspects. And that, you know, isn't going to cut it. You know, that's not going to make you ultimately happy, because then you're just enmeshed with another person, but you're not really living your life and, you know, fulfilling your dreams. You're just trying to live through somebody else. So basically, I would say that the Four of Cups challenges you to recognize when you're not feeling excited about something, and use that as your guidepost of what you should be moving towards or away from. Okay, and what helps you, an attitude to adopt that's very helpful, is the Page of Swords. So this can be about ferreting out information and just being vigilant. Not, you know, it's kind of like the opposite of this card, which is kind of being deluded by this, what do you call it, like these apparent embarrassment of riches that are available to you, and it turns out that it's not, it's fool's gold. So being vigilant about the type of people that you meet. If you were deceived by somebody, if they pretend to be something they weren't, this is a card of like making sure that you really get to know somebody before you get involved, and that includes who they really are. If you were deceived to the ultimate level, that somebody was misrepresenting their identity and things like that, or serious things that were going on, like, you know, being married and having 3 children, you might have to, if you have a tendency to get involved in relationships where people deceive you, maybe you'll have to start doing a little sleuthing and seeing if they are on the up and up. Which you know, it's sad to even suggest something like that, because you're starting the relationship with a suspicious mind. I'm talking about if you have a habit of getting involved with people like that, then maybe you have to do that until you learn how to, till you get to the part energetically where you just naturally attract trustworthy people to you. That is, I should say. The advice is the 5 of Wands, and so this can be friendly competition. Now, sometimes, you know, with a card that suggests a third party, it may be saying, you know, fighting for your man. And maybe, you know, I don't know, that just makes me cringe to even suggest that. But maybe in a more general sense, it means that in the future, you have to not, you know, Cancer tends to be very reticent. You know, you have that shell that you're just ready to duck into at the first sign of anyone threatening you, even on an emotional level, especially on the emotional level. And so maybe sometimes you have to be a little bit more assertive. And this is kind of like, you know, standing up for yourself, but really having a healthy sense of self-esteem in general, and being able to, and this means that if somebody presents themselves as, you know, a jerk, like right away, that you are able to see that and not invest any more time in somebody who would even think of treating you like that. You're able to nip it in the bud, in other words. Now, I did pick an extra card because the outcome I got was the 5 of Pentacles, not one of my favorite cards, and very hard to fit into an outcome that isn't totally depressing, because the Five of Pentacles relates to poverty consciousness. I rag on this particular depiction of the card. It seems rather bizarre. The woman trying to comfort somebody who is injured. In the Rider, this is the Morgan Greer deck. In the Rider Waite deck, there are two people who are dressed in rags walking past a church. But you see here, it's the same thing with the stained glass window. This is a card of poverty consciousness, of, being very limited in your belief system and not thinking you can attract to you what you need. Now, obviously, because these are pentacles, it is, particularly connected to, money and career and financial matters. But in a love reading, it could have to do with an earth sign individual. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Maybe that's the person that you end up with. Now, I did say that there might have been an earth sign involved. So that might be maybe that is a nice outcome for you, if it is an earth sign. But I do think that it could be a note of caution, that you really have to get your thoughts in order so that you can, in the future, attract better things to you, because of a tendency maybe towards pessimism, that you have a much more positive and even, I would say, dare I say, spiritual attitude. Since these are stained glass windows, the people are not aware. It's like you need to focus on the spiritual side of life sometimes. And if you're dealing with heartache, all the more reason to. And maybe even using that as what to look at in terms of a potential partner. Do they have a spiritual life in some way? If they are just worldly, they may not be, compatible with you. It might not be enough for you anymore. So the second card I picked, just to kind of for clarification purposes, was the Ace of Wands. So yes, I do feel that you're at the beginning of something really good. It could be, business related. Maybe you'll be just concentrating on that, and it'll be a very successful endeavor. But it could be the start of a passionate love relationship, because Ace is the very, very beginning. And because, look, it's a cloud that's handing it over to you, it could just come out of nowhere, and it could be kind of divinely guided or divinely given. Might be a form of grace that comes to you after all the suffering that you may have experienced. Now, of course, Cancer, I realize that some of you may not be having some of the scenarios that I have presented here. I suppose it goes without saying that this is a general love reading, and obviously all the cards may not resonate. If you would like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a wonderful September, and hopefully, for those who want it, the start of a new love relationship. Bye.